Okay, let's run.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks! What are you?
Greetings and salutations and Happy New Year. Welcome to this new season of And I Quote. This is the weekly show where we introduce you to content creators of all shapes and sizes that join us from any and all corners of the nerd universe, if you will. And we find out more about them by taking your questions. I'm your host, Ryan of And I Quote channel, and our guest on this episode, believe it or not, we have now reached 155 episodes. So this guest gets to have the honor of being our 156th guest we've had on And I Quote. We were just talking about it in the green room. Strange number, but we're going with it anyway. Please welcome indie artist and one of the best artists walking the face of this earth today. Tony Santiago is here with us. Tony, welcome in. How are you today, good sir?
Good. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, we're very thankful to have you with us. Now, if you have any questions for Tony as we go throughout the course of this episode, please let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Our producers are going to be monitoring it as we go throughout the course of this program. But in the meantime, Tony, I got to ask you, when were you introduced to the world of comics, if you indeed were?
The world of comics. Yeah, I mean, when I was a little kid, I liked comic books and kind of probably just 8, 9, 10 years old, like any other kid. And they used to sell the comics there at the corner store, like right at the rack, and I would just grab a comic, and it was a lot of Batman comics, and that was about it. I mean, they've been around my whole life. I probably didn't start really getting into them and reading them much later on into my 20s.
I gotcha. What would you say are some of your favorite movies or TV series, past or present?
In general, or based on comics?
No, in general.
Past movies or TV series? Boy, that's a long list. That's past or present. Honestly, probably my original go-to when I really like The Wire is something that I've watched several times. I guess I gauge it by how many times I've gone through it. And I've gone through The Wire a few times. I've gone through Breaking Bad. It's pretty cliche. It's probably the standards that everybody's going to tell you. Right now, there's a show that not a lot of people watch, but I've watched a few times, called Warrior. It's a great show. That I think it's coming out on Netflix in a couple months, so hopefully more people get a chance to see it. In terms of the movies, I mean, that's all over the place. I mean, I love the Marvel stuff. I'll go back and forth with Endgame, and I'll go through that series quite a bit. I love the Mission Impossible series. Love that stuff. But every now and then I just want a good old-fashioned shoot 'em up, so I'll throw John Wick on, or Expendables. If I want to get into my 90s, I'll go into some Tarantino and look at some True Romance or Pulp Fiction, stuff like that.
Oddly enough, Pulp Fiction turns the big 3-0 this year.
Wow, time flies, man. That's crazy. That's a crazy number to hear.
Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to make anyone else feel too young or too old at this point.
Right.
But
Right.
quick plug here. We do movie watch along, and we celebrate movies that are turned a certain age every year on
Okay.
And I Quote channel. You can always go back and watch our past episodes, but I believe we are going to be doing one for Pulp Fiction later this year. So
Nice.
yeah, that should be a lot of fun within itself. So a lot of curse words in that one. Whew. But
Definitely.
Tarantino, and it's R-rated, so please be careful. It's not safe for children. With that being, not to give anyone free parenting advice, but I know, right? It's so crazy. But outside of that, when did you decide to become an artist?
To become an artist. So growing up, it wasn't really a thing. I always drew. I like to draw, like all kids. And then at some point, like I all the kids kind of go their own way. They either go into sports or music or whatever it is they start doing. I just stuck with drawing, so I was always good at that. And but I didn't realize that it was a thing to be. It wasn't, what do you want to be when you grow up? Artist was not an option. It wasn't something I would say. To be honest with you, it wasn't something I would think about until much, much later. And I've been doing cons for about 10 years now. And it wasn't long before that 10 years that I decided I wanted to be an artist. So I kind of was dabbling and did some freelance stuff, but to become an artist was really within the last 15 years, I would say.
Oh, I see. I see. Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us. Do greatly appreciate it. What would you say are some of the rewards about being an artist?
The rewards about being an artist that I find are, I mean, I'm doing what I enjoy. It's something that, I mean, I really am not all that great at anything else, to be honest with you. I wasn't a great student. I'm not, good at math or anything like that. I just like drawing stuff. I like drawing cool stuff. I like watching movies and watching TV shows. And if I see something in a movie, I'm like, oh my God, that'd be such a great picture. I just want to draw that. I just want to take that and put it down on paper. And so that's the reward, is I get to do what I'm doing. It's whatever's inside my head. I have the opportunity to put it down on paper somehow. Um, as far as going to shows, it kind of turned into its own, like a business, like for myself, like a small business. So I'm essentially working for myself. I don't have to get up and go sit in a cube, which I have done. I used to do stuff like that, but that's a reward in of itself, is to be able to just kind of run your own business, run your life that way.
All right. Rock on, man. Rock on. On the flip side of the coin, what are some of the biggest challenges about being an artist?
For me, it's interesting because some of the biggest challenges are getting those ideas in your head and having to put them down on paper. As much as I love doing it, it doesn't always translate, and it's a challenge. And it's, being an artist, being an illustrator, you are problem solving essentially. You have an image in your head and you say, okay, this is going to be awesome, and then you get started and it's just not working out for you, and it's challenging. It can be a little bit aggravating and disheartening when something you think is going to turn out a certain way and doesn't come out that way. And then the whole idea of the small business as well. I am kind of on my own doing it. My wife and I do a lot of shows together, but for the most part, it's the setup, the work, the preparation, everything that goes into it is it's hard. It's a lot of work. It's fun, but it's a lot of work.
Yep. Kind of one of those give and take. You gotta
Absolutely, absolutely.
gotta find a way to balance it out. What advice would you give to aspiring artists out there?
Um, Advice to aspiring artists. I do get artists that come up to me at shows and ask, what advice, and it really is. It sounds kind of simplistic and cliche, but the bottom line is to just keep practicing, just keep working at it. Whatever it is you do, whether it's digital art, traditional pencil, marker, paint, whatever it is, whatever subject matter you're interested in, to just practice it and keep going. There's really no magic trick. It's practice, put in the time, and the rest will kind of work itself out as you move forward.
There you go. Mic drop moment. And what else is a great moment is you who may be watching or listening to this episode of And I Quote with indie artist Tony Santiago here on And I Quote. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If this is your first time here, welcome. We thank you for being with us. If you have any questions for Tony during the course of this broadcast, whether it's live or on the replay, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. We're more than happy to hear from you. And we hope you're enjoying what we have for you thus far. Now, I do have some examples here I'd like to share with you. I'm going to go in a bit of a different order here, though, because here is an example of Tony Santiago's work. Now, this is Top Gun, going back to the 80s, which,
Right.
it's funny. Some people say the 90s was the best decade in film, but I kind of disagree. I think the 80s were the best decade in film because look how many
Okay.
great gems, We got it. We
Okay.
got out of that flippin' decade, which includes this one with F-14 Tomcats. You know, you're
Yes.
not happy unless you're
Yes.
going Mach 2 with your hair on fire,
That's right. That's
as
right.
the incredible Charlie says in the film known as Top Gun from 1986. Which, by the way, that was a little before my time, but still. Tony, this is an example of your work. Now tell us, how did this Top Gun piece come about? What's your process like putting something like this together?
um, it came about after watching Maverick. So, I mean, that's one of my go-tos. I mean, I've probably seen that movie 10 times by now for sure. And Maverick's it's a great movie. So I wanted to put down I wanted to do a Tom Cruise piece. I think I had already done the Mission Impossible piece, and the next one was okay, Top Gun. And but as much as I enjoyed Maverick, the to me, the classic is the original Top Gun. I wanted the young Iceman and Goose in there. And so I just go through my process. I imagine something in my head and start looking for reference material, and I just start drawing it out, and it just comes up that way.
Well, this is definitely going Mach 2 with one's hair on fire, because this piece is fan flippin' tastic. And it took me a
Thank you.
minute because I didn't
Thank
see
you.
the original. Obviously, I didn't see the original in theaters, and I didn't see Maverick in theaters either because the world was kind of ending at certain points.
Right.
So I waited until afterwards. It's called physical media, I know. So I got Maverick on Blu-ray. Dude, that sequel's fantastic.
I love it. I
That
love it.
that
It hits all the beats, man. It's perfect.
It's crazy. And the best thing about it was, because I was talking about this with some other individuals. I said, if they don't start this sequel with
I said the same thing. I know exactly
if
what
they
you're saying.
don't start with the sun coming up, or they got the
Yep.
planes getting a roll, what is it called? Like getting ready to roll out, and then you got Kenny Loggins. If I don't hear my boy Kenny Loggins, we have a problem.
Ah, dude, when I watched that, I saw it in the theater,
Yeah.
so I got the immersive experience with the sound, and when they started with the dun 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 dun, I mean, I'm getting chills now thinking about it, and
Yeah.
then you're exactly right. As I'm listening to it, I'm like, Danger Zone better show up. It better, and it kicked in. I was just like, oh, here we go, and I was just on a great ride.
Yeah, it was great. Both films are great. If you haven't had a chance to see either Top Gun or the continuation of it known as Top Gun Maverick, please feel
Yep,
free
yep.
to check it out. But real quick about that piece that we just
Yeah.
showed here about Top Gun, did you ever get a chance to meet Iceman himself? Have you met Val Kilmer?
No, I know he's done a couple of shows.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's done any recently. I know he was at a couple shows when he was going through some of his illnesses. Yeah, I didn't
Throat
get a
cancer.
chance though. Yeah, I from what I understood at the time, the the shows that he was at that I was at, it was hard to get in there to see him. I mean, it was pre-sold tickets and a limited number. So it wasn't where I could just kind of a lot of these celebrities you can just kind of walk back there
Mhm.
and just kind of walk by and see them and even engage if nobody's talking to them. Val Kilmer wasn't like that. There's a couple celebrities that do not. They're like hidden off. They have some curtains behind them, and yeah.
Yeah.
So he was one of those. So no, I haven't had a chance to meet him. Be cool though, but I haven't had a chance.
Yeah, man. If he does a show that you just happen to be at, you gotta show him this piece. I think he would love it. I think he
That'd be
would.
cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think he would really enjoy it. I've actually met Val Kilmer not once but twice during the
Nice.
course of his time that he was doing shows, even though he was in the latter stages of his throat cancer. He barely could really talk, but he
I
actually
hope he
said
was nice to you though.
he was great. Both interactions were great, and the first
Good.
interaction I had with him, I had him sign my Batman Forever DVD
Oh, that's cool.
because I grew up watching Batman
Yeah,
Forever,
yeah.
and that was my introduction to him as an actor. I mean, granted, I did watch Top Gun, but before my time, I saw things, later, a little bit
Hmm.
later on in my life. But I think he was a great Batman. I think Batman Forever kind of gets thrown under a unnecessary bus at times. It is a good film, like it's enjoyable. It is, and it explores the psyche of Bruce Wayne a little bit more than the other two films did prior to Val Kilmer's iteration of Batman, with it being in the slash Tim Burton slash Joel Schumacher universe, if you will.
Right,
But yeah,
right.
he was nice. He was great. And then the second time I saw him, he signed an 8x10 of the locker room scene.
Oh, nice. I like that.
And I asked him specifically to personalize it, and it says to Ryan, "I don't like you because you're dangerous." And I mean, come on, man, come on. I mean, how can you not like something like that? That's
That's super cool.
It was great, but I do hope you get a chance to meet the gentleman known as Val Kilmer. I think he would really like the piece you did for Top Gun there. But another example, I should say, of your work. I mean, my gosh. I mean, you want to talk about iconic. And speaking of movie anniversaries, this one
Yeah.
turns the big 3-5 later this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I don't mean to make you feel any younger than you already are, Tony, but this is Batman '89, which I'm
Yeah.
assuming is what we're looking at here in this piece. So,
Yep.
what
Yep.
was it like putting this masterpiece of a piece of artwork together with the Batmobile and the Dark Knight being in the background? How did that work for you?
Yeah. I just had I had done a Star Wars piece, a few pieces that included. I don't know if you've seen them, but it's like Vader kind of sketched out, Luke kind of sketched out, Han and Boba Fett and Mandalorian, and underneath them all, I put their ships. And I was just looking at that, and I was looking at Batman, and it's like Batmobile. It's like, why wouldn't I just do the same concept? And it just as simple as that. I just came up with that and decided, okay, let's just do that. And with the black and the color scheme, it looks cool. The cars just end up looking cool when So I have a series of them with a couple of the other iterations of Batman with the cars and with the Batmobiles, and they're fun. I've gotten a good response for them for sure.
I mean, this to me is one of my all-time favorite movies, and that's my favorite Batmobile. So you clearly did
Yeah.
something right here. I mean, not that you haven't done anything right before, but it's Batman, and
I appreciate it.
and don't kill me. And we use clips of that movie at the top of our
I
show.
see that. I see that. That's cool.
Yeah, and by the way, real quick shout out to our good friend Josh Bauer of J Bauer Art, who designed and put together the intro video for this show, known as And I Quote, and a lot of our other videos. We appreciate you, Josh. You do a great job. And I specifically asked Josh. I said, "Hey, these are clips of movies that kind of speak to who I am and what I'm passionate about, and these just happen to be some of my favorite things about pop culture. So, is it possible you can throw these in here?" And he said, "Yes, I can do it." And that's what you see at the top of every show is a little bit of my personality coming out,
That's
but it's
cool.
also the
It
personality of this
works.
channel because we like to
It
we like
works.
to nerd out and celebrate our favorite things, whether it's movies, TV series, maybe a little bit of classic, pro wrestling, with Sting at the end there telling us it's showtime, folks.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great piece, man. Really, I mean, honestly,
Thank
I
you.
like when you have the character and then you have something that's important to that character, whether it's a weapon or what is it, a vehicle, if you will,
Hmm.
or a
Hmm.
ship. I believe I've seen maybe one or two of your Star Wars vehicle pieces. I got to go back and look at
Sure.
that on social media. I'm gonna have to take a look at those. Maybe I'll end up spending money I don't have on things I really want, which includes more of your work. So you never know. But speaking of Dark Knights, I mean, my gosh, you want to talk about dark, you want to talk about disturbing, you want to talk about a performance that's going to leave you captivated, but yet incredibly terrified at the same time. We're looking at Heath Ledger's, I believe, iteration of the Joker. And by the
Yep.
way, great performance. He would have won the
Hmm.
Oscar whether he was alive or not.
Hmm.
Posthumous, you can say what you
For
want,
sure.
but he would have
For
gotten
sure.
it no matter what. His
Yep.
performance is incredible. It holds up. What is it, 15 years later, which is
Yeah.
insane. That movie's
It
15
is.
years old, going on 16. We actually did the 15th anniversary watch along for The Dark Knight last year, Tony. You can always go back and
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
that tape. But we're looking at what is known as the Joker here, but I'm seeing a bit of a difference in the last two prints here. We're seeing some black and white mixed in with some
Hmm.
color. What was that like putting this Joker piece together?
So I paint digital. So the beauty of that is to be able to move things around, uh, play with design elements and sizing. I had already done a Joker piece, which is the one you see there in the foreground with in full color, and that was fine. It was working for me. But then I start looking. Sometimes I look at my work and it starts to get a little stale for me, and I just want to kind of liven things up. And so I started doing a couple of pieces where I just did drawing, like sketching, like pencil sketches, and keeping it really loose, putting in the pencil strokes in there and the cross hatching, kind of like the pencil style that I work in. And that's what this Joker piece is. And for me, it's like I work digital. These are assets I can use. Let's see what they look like together. And I dropped them together, and it just kind of worked out. I also have one with Joaquin Phoenix Joker as well as Jack Nicholson Joker. So these, yeah, they've worked out. It's just kind of putting two different styles of drawing together and seeing how it looks. And again, it's gotten a good response.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. It's fascinating, as one person might say, from a fictional show that's been on for over 50 years. But great stuff. Really dig it. I'm glad
Thank
you
you.
did Jack Nicholson because I
Of
grew up
course,
on.
you have to. You
I mean,
have
I
to.
grew up on '89's Batman
Yeah.
religiously. I think I watched it so much that I broke the VHS tape, Tony.
Who's
Yeah.
your favorite Joker, though?
Who's my favorite Joker? I mean, here's the thing, because movies and animated series are two different mediums. They're
Yes.
very, very different mediums. So it's hard to not say Mark Hamill because
Okay.
he's so good and he's so terrifying. Seriously, you watch Mask of the Phantasm, man, creepy as
I'm
creepy
gonna
as
have to,
you know what.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, please do. Batman Mask of the Phantasm was a animated feature film that was based off the animated series known as Batman, the animated series.
Yeah, yeah.
It turned the big 3-0 last year. We did a watch along for that, of course, because it's one of the best comic book movies of all time. It is on the movie nerds, as well as the DC nerd playlist on our channel. If anyone wants to go back and watch that, you're more than welcome to. We also did a tribute to Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, who tragically
Mhm.
passed away not too long ago. That video is on our DC Nerds playlist too. You can always go back and watch that and hear the incredible stories about Kevin Conroy, such a great human being that we lost far too soon. But as
Mhm.
far as my
Mhm.
favorite Joker goes, man, it may be Mark Hamill, but at the same time, I kind of have to. Heath Ledger was so terrifying.
It was. Yeah, I mean, I remember when Heath Ledger was cast, because I had got done watching. What's the movie he did where he was a knight?
Oh,
Was
A
it a
Knight's
knight?
Tale. A
A
Knight's Tale.
Knight's Tale.
Yeah. Mhm.
And it's like, okay, and then they said, okay, Heath Ledger is going to be the Joker in the next Dark Knight movie. And I'm like, the guy from The Knight's Tale? Like, I didn't see it. I just didn't see it. And it was kind of, I think it was, maybe I wasn't paying attention, but it felt different then because you didn't see a lot of build up to it. Like, it just landed and there it was. There was no, I don't remember seeing a lot of back, like set photos, and there were no Instagram videos where he's in the makeup chair. It was just, boom, this is Heath Ledger, and he disappeared. He disappeared in that role, and it was so, so good. And then I don't know. I mean, I hate to say it, but him passing just kind of added to the mystique of the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was really crazy. Like, that movie had such a, it's so, I mean, it's the standard still for superhero movies, I think.
Hmm. No, yeah, I would venture to agree with you there. Yeah, when the whole world was told that this young actor was going to be playing one of the most iconic villains in the
Hmm.
history of not only comic books but the history of cinema, I'm thinking the pretty boy from 10 Things I Hate About You and A Knight's
Right,
Tale, and
right.
he's done a few other films up to that point as well. And I'm thinking that guy, you're out of your
Yes.
mind. Like we were all screaming at this. We're thinking, Hollywood, what are you thinking? You're out of your mind.
Yes.
Like it's
Exactly.
like Bones McCoy. Are you out of your Vulcan mind? Like you're losing it, Hollywood. And I like Chris Nolan, I really do. But I'm thinking, Chris, what? Why? I don't. This doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And then the movie comes out,
It was
and I don't see
crazy.
Heath Ledger anywhere. I don't see him, and it's all I see is a crazy, maniacal, manipulative,
Hmm.
just anarchist, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
Joker, who is just happy to blow things up. He's happy to destroy people's lives and ruin other people's careers, and he smiles at that. And I'm thinking, this honestly, and this is something I've said once or twice before in different shows. To me, that was the closest resemblance to the devil with the Joker
Yeah.
performance. I'm thinking, this is the devil right here. Like, this is someone who takes pleasure in chaos. He just takes pleasure in blood and tears and manipulation and playing the puppet master with
Hmm.
everybody. He takes pleasure in that. He loves that. He relishes that. And Heath Ledger's performance is nothing short of amazing. And
It is.
yeah, I would say my favorite, like, if we're talking live action Joker, probably Heath Ledger. But if we're talking
Mhm.
animated, obviously Mark Hamill. I mean, Mark Hamill's
Yeah.
Mark Hamill. I
Yeah,
mean, who,
I'm not familiar with the animated series,
man?
but I've heard that several times at shows where people talk about the Mark Hamill Joker,
Mhm.
and they say it's the best version of Joker, and I haven't gone into taking a look at it.
man, considering you got all these Batman portraits, when you're selling at cons, it's like, come on, dude, you got to show a little bit of respect to the animated series. Come on now, boy.
Right.
So you got some
Right.
homework to do after this show. You got to go
You're
back
right.
and
You're right
watch
about that.
Batman TAS, which I believe is streaming on Max. # not a sponsor. And then you can, and then you can watch Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which is also on Max. # not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Okay.
So there you go. You can go back and just watch the first few
I
episodes of
will.
Batman the Animated Series, but definitely watch Batman Mask of the Phantasm. That is a great entry point. If you've never seen the show, that animated
Mhm.
movie alone is a great entry point, and it's only 75 minutes long. That's it.
Okay.
It's an hour
In
15.
and out. I like it. Okay.
You get it done real easily, and it does features the voices like we have stated before. Kevin Conroy is Batman, and Mark Hamill is the Joker. So you can go into it, watch it, enjoy it, and you can come back to us later and thank us. So
All right.
we also hope that you would do is thank us for watching this incredible episode of And I Quote with our guest of honor, Tony Santiago, indie artist extraordinaire, and who also happens to be missing a few pieces of Batman in his history book, but he's going to study that later. There will be a test. Let us know in the comments or the chat if you have any questions relating to his artwork and the incredible things that he's doing for Tony Santiago. And don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. Now, Tony, have there been any special memories for you from being at conventions, whether you're there as a vendor or there as an attendee, that stand out?
As an attendee, before I started doing this, like I said, 10 years ago, I went to a couple of Wizard shows back when it was Wizard shows in Chicago. And I would just spend my time going up and down the artist alley, which is not anywhere near as big as it is now. And I just loved doing that. And then I just decided, I came home and told my wife, I'm like, I'd like to kind of do one of these and just be an artist. I mean, how hard can it be? And so that's what I did. And it just kind of took off from there. Um, my, uh, my most impactful experience for doing cons came a couple years into about a year and a half into my whole going to conventions and being an artist. So when I showed up as a coming to shows, I was doing a lot of what I thought was comic book style art. I was doing artwork that I thought was relevant to the environment. Like, oh, this is Comic Con, so they want comic book style artwork. And what I didn't realize was just how hard that is. And you don't just roll out of bed and you become Jim Lee overnight. So but I thought I could put my spin on it and come up with some artwork. And so I was doing that. And that was about the first year. It wasn't full time, but I had done enough shows. So I'm like, okay, I was moderately gaining some traction. And I went to a show on a Saturday morning in Ohio, in Columbus, and I ran into Neil Adams. And it was before the show had started. So we're all kind of setting up. I had never met Neil Adams. I didn't really know him or who he was, and in terms of the icon that he was at the time. I just knew who he was because someone had told me, "Ooh, that's Neil Adams, and this is what he's done." So I went up to him nonchalantly and said, "Hey, Mr. Adams, I introduced myself and I said, I'm an artist here, and it's really nice to meet you." And he came and he said, "Oh, let's go take a look at your work." And so we went over and took a look at my work, and unsolicited, every single piece, one by one, ripped it apart. And it was, "This is terrible." It was old school. "This is terrible. This is a bad drawing. I don't know what you were like. I don't know what you were thinking with this drawing." I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Saturday morning, dude. Show opens in like 40 minutes and you're just killing my confidence. You're just destroying me." And he looked at one. I had done one of Indiana Jones, and he looked at that one. He said, "That one's okay." And then he just kept on going with ripping everything else. So at the end of this critique, he's like, "You're exposing all your weaknesses. You're exposing all your weaknesses." He said, "This Indiana Jones piece, something's in there, and you should look at that a little bit more." And he shook my hand and said, "Are you happy with it?" And, okay. And so I was kind of left there and that was a conversation I digested for, I mean, 2, 3 months. It took a long time for me to kind of get over that interaction. And but I took the advice, and I realized I took a long, hard look at what I was doing. Um, Self-assessment. what am I doing here? How do I compete? How do I stand out? And I just completely changed my direction. I followed, his advice and looked at that Indiana Jones piece. I found what I think I liked in that one, and it just kind of evolved from there into where I am now. And it fast forwards to uh, maybe a year or two before he passed, and he was across from me at a show set up. And I don't know if you remember Neil Adams' big setup. It was like he would have like 4 tables, 4 booths. It was huge, and he looked over at me and just gave me a big thumbs up and said, "I love your work." And when I went up to him to reintroduce myself and to remind him of the story I just told you, he hadn't remembered it. I mean, the guy has he probably talked to 500 artists that weekend. So, but he asked me to sit down next to him, and he was really touched by the fact that I took that advice and just allowed myself to evolve as an artist and bring it around full circle. And I got a thumbs up from the guy, and that just meant the world. And that's probably from an artist and a personal growth standpoint as an artist, and just from my own confidence. I mean, that's the biggest that interaction has had the biggest impact on me by far.
Oh my goodness, man! Talk about a 180, right? Jeez.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
that was a really that.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I would be honestly where I am as an artist or with any sense of. I mean, he gave me a piece of direction that, and maybe he goes to all artists, maybe he would go to a lot of artists and kind of do the same thing to them, just because that's how he was. But I took it to heart, and I looked at it and like, this is advice from a legend. Like, people pay a lot of money to go to to go to school to get these kinds of critiques from guys like this. And he just gave it to me on a Saturday morning, and it changed everything for me.
My goodness, man! What a heck of an Eat Your Hollywood story. And we thank you for sharing that with us, because I'd like to share something with you and with you who may be watching or listening. So in the beginning, the first time you crossed paths with who is known, and by the way, rest in peace to
Mhm.
Neil Adams for sure. So the first time you two met, the conversation went something like this.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
So that was the first time you crossed paths with Neil Adams, and the second time, this is what
Yes,
happened.
yes.
Calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
So, so when he sees your art a second time, it's like, yep, that's it. That's
Yes.
the money right there.
I like that. That's awesome. Hey, I just had a text exchange with a friend of mine last week, and he just asked me out of randomly, "Hey, 5 rewatchable movies right now," and A Few Good Men was on that list for sure.
Well, you're welcome. We've added some new things here on And I Quote channel by using some pop culture references. So we thought we'd throw these in for good measure. And hey, it's the first time we've used these two little things here. So well done, guys. Well done.
I like that one. I like that one.
Yeah, A Few Good Men's good, but I'm surprised Back to the Future wasn't on your list.
As a rewatchable, I mean, I rewatch it. I had to come up with 5. I mean, maybe it's in the top 10. It didn't crack my top.
That's hard.
It was at that moment. Maybe
Yeah.
the next day I'm feeling a little bit more playful and sentimental. It's like, okay, Back to the Future cracks the top 5. That list is always changing. That's a fluid list.
Oh, for sure. But just at a quick sidebar here, what were the other films that you mentioned to your friend other than A Few Good Men? Do you remember what it was?
A Few Good Men was on there. True Romance was on there. I think I put Major League was on there.
Oh my gosh. That's old school right there.
I'm sure Goodfellas was on there, and to be honest, I can't remember the 5th one, but that's going to vary. That could be anywhere from it could be Back to the Future. It could be one of the Star Wars movies. Who knows? I mean, that it's always changing, that list.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's right. I just thought I asked the quick question, but yeah, good ones there. The problem is I've never seen Goodfellas. I mean,
That's
funny
not true.
how I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I'm usually no. I've never seen it. I've never seen Goodfellas. I'm being dead serious.
Come on, what are you doing?
I've never seen
What
it,
are you
and
doing to me?
I finally saw True Romance for the first time later last year.
Oh, and you're telling me I have homework to do?
I know. Goodfellas is definitely it's up there. I haven't seen it. I've never seen it. As far back as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a gangster. That's the opening line of the movie. I'm
How
not
do you
saying I
know all the
actually.
lines, but you don't know the movie?
I know it's so sad that I know these things. People look at me and they're thinking, Ryan, you know all these great quotes, but you haven't seen half the stuff you're just quoting right now. And I'm like, well, I hear
You
things.
need the context. You need the
I
context.
do. I do need the context, and I have a lot of homework to do, which includes Goodfellas, which includes some other films that shall not be named because the list is like 6 miles deep.
You got to go back through and watch Goodfellas, and just
Sure.
know that the Joe Pesci character, who you think I'm funny, comes out I think the same year as Home Alone.
Yeah, ironic.
It couldn't be two different characters, and it's just like what a great year for Joe Pesci.
Oh, for sure. I will grant you that. Yes. Yes. Home Alone is a holiday classic as well. Goodfellas is some people's favorite crime movie. So,
Definitely.
Yeah, or favorite, if you want to call it that, gangster movie. Sorry. There is a subgenre, so feel free to look it up. It is on the interwebs, so feel free to look that up. But what you don't have to look up is watching this incredible episode of And I Quote with Tony Santiago, who tells me I got homework to do after this show, including him. He needs to watch. He didn't even know there was an iteration of Batman called Batman the Animated Series until now. So, hey, we're learning something new every day on this show.
Now, wait a minute. I knew it existed. I just hadn't seen it.
Okay, sorry. I got the references. I got the facts mixed up.
Exactly.
But don't forget to like and share this episode of And I Quote with all of your friends. And if you have any questions for Tony or myself for my lack of movie knowledge, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. And we'll be more than happy to take those as they come in. Whether you're joining this live or on the replay, we thank you for being with us. And we do want to let you know that this episode of And I Quote and every episode of And I Quote is indeed powered by our good friends at Poddex. Now, check this out, Tony. Poddex are what are known as unique interview questions as well as episode starting prompts located in the palm of your own hand. So whether you're a new podcaster or existing broadcaster, I should say, looking to grow their audience or get more engagement, you're going to want to check out our friends over there at poddex.com. Make sure you use the code RYAN10. That's RYAN10 for 10% off your first order. Don't miss out on that opportunity. So Poddex wants to know, Tony, when you wake up in the morning, what is your number one priority?
Coffee. I mean, I go right to my coffee machine and get that coffee going, and I sit down and start drawing. That's really what I start doing. That's my morning.
All right. Right down to business. TCB, taking care of business. Well, well done. Now, would you travel to outer space if possible?
No.
No.
No,
Is that because you've seen the movie Alien too many times?
No, I just don't have that level of curiosity. I like to keep my feet firmly planted on the ground. I'm not much for reaching for the stars, I don't think.
Ah, okay. Fair enough. Plus, you probably saw that little film called Alien too many times. You're thinking, well, if I go into space and I have a problem, nobody's going to be able to hear me scream. So, which was the tagline for the original film known as Alien, which I believe was 1979, directed by Ridley Scott. So, yeah,
okay.
in space, no one can hear you scream. That was the tagline.
I just went to the movies the other day.
Did you?
I saw Ferrari. Really good movie. It was really good.
You liked it?
One of the trailers was another space movie. Takes place in space, where I forgot the title of the movie, but it looks like there's a Russian team out there, explorers, and a team from the US, from America.
Huh.
And while they're up there, a war breaks out on planet Earth, like nuclear war. So they see all the devastation taking place, but they're up there. And the US, in the trailer, it says, "Oh, we just got word that we have to attack the Russian space station." And they're saying the Russians probably got the same thing, the same orders to do to us. And they had just been palling around, I guess, in the trailer. Anyway, the reason I bring this all up is because the tagline is, in space, they actually can hear you scream.
Oh, they remembered what happened with Ridley Scott's movie, and they twisted the words around for this new film that's coming out. It's a play on the words.
Exactly, but it looks like a pretty cool movie, though. It looks interesting.
I think I saw that trailer on the interwebs not too long. I think it was like a week ago, and
Yeah.
I forget the name of the movie too. The name's not coming to me, but it was an intriguing premise. I'm thinking war's breaking out, people are up in space doing their thing, and they're trying to figure out
Hmm.
what are we going to do, how are we going to survive, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's a that's a post-apocalyptic image that's going to keep me up tonight. So with that, thanks for that, folks. With that being, gee whiz. With that being said, does your name have a special or significant meaning, and if so, what is it?
My name?
Yes. Any
No.
specific meaning for it, or any significant meaning, or is it just, hey, family wanted to name name their son Tony, so they went with Tony Santiago. They figured it's a great name. Why not?
Yeah, I think it really is. I don't think sad to say, my parents were that deep. I think they just kind of were like, all right, Tony sounds good.
Snap to it. Let's name this one.
Yeah, let's just get on. We have work to do. So, okay, let's just name them and let's move on.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, hey, it happens. Uh, you know, some people had to put a lot of thought into naming their child, and some people are just, hey, we're just making this up as we go. Let's go with it.
That's
So
it.
it's yeah. It's also called improv for those of you wondering, doing things on the fly. It's called improvising or improv.
Right.
For those of you who are into acting or doing comedy or that kind of thing, it tends to happen sometimes. What is the main quality that you think makes a great parent?
Ooh, a great parent?
Mm-hmm. Could be any quality.
I would honestly, that's a tough question. I have 3 kids. Patience.
Hmm.
I mean, it's all patience. And I've got 3 kids ranging from 30 to 18
Wow.
and 3 different personalities, 3 different sets of issues,
Hmm.
and each one requires patience and understanding. And you know, it, and unfortunately, I've shown them that I don't always have a lot of it, which is why I think it's the most important one.
Hmm.
Because every time I show that I don't have it, I go, man, I really needed more patience in that moment. Like that was upsetting. So I think that would be the one.
There you go. Patience is a virtue, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, yeah.
So there you go. And congrats on the 3 Padawans. Well, they're not really Padawans anymore. They're more like Jedi Masters at this point. I mean, 30 to 18. I mean, my gosh, talk about growing
Yeah,
up too darn fast for your own good.
no kidding.
I mean, I was 30 once, but that was some years ago. But anyway, sorry, don't mean to make you feel any younger than you already are. Or am I saying that right? Probably not. I'm twisting the words, but we're having fun here. What's what we try to do on this show. If sorry, but if you can make one of your other hobbies into what is known as a profession, which one would it be?
Oh man. Um, to be honest, I don't have a lot of hobbies. I mean,
Hmm.
I kind of do what I do. I do a lot of drawing. Uh, but in terms of any other interest that I've always enjoyed, not so much anymore. I've kind of aged myself out of it. But man, I would have loved to have played basketball at a pro
Mm,
level in some way. That would have been the one, like just to get into sports in some capacity. I would have loved to have been in that world for a while.
would you play for the Chicago Bulls in the United Center?
Hey man, I if I could be a pro ball player, I'm playing anywhere they send me. But yeah, for sure, that'd be the dream team for me.
Yeah. Imagine if you were rubbing elbows with Michael Jordan.
I did that once.
Did you?
Yes, when I was 21, I was at a Bulls game with my girlfriend who is my wife now, and my dad was there too. But I had seats. He had gotten us tickets, and we had seats up in the mezzanine, like third third section, third level,
Oh,
and they
no
were good
kidding.
seats. This is the old Chicago Stadium,
Oh, sure, sure.
and at halftime, my dad comes over to me and finds us, and he says, "Hey, so do you see where I'm at?" I'm like, "I don't know where you are. I didn't even like, where are you?" He hands me a ticket that's about the size of one of the vendor badges we get at a show, a big badge. And he says, "Go down there where that security guard is. And my buddy Jim is down there, and you can go sit next to him, but you got to show this badge." So I go down there, and it just turns out that the seat that I would be in was next to the last seat on the Bulls bench. Now that seat doesn't exist anymore because they kind of moved things around in the United Center. But in the old stadium, the fans were right there on top of the bench almost. They were right behind him. So I was literally sitting next to the last seat. And at the time, it was opening of the third quarter. They come in, everybody gets started, and Will Perdue is sitting in that seat. Will Perdue, I don't know if you know, he's 7'2" or whatever at the time, and huge. So I'm sitting next to Will Perdue, and they're playing against the Hornets, Charlotte Hornets. So I had never seen a human being as big as Larry Johnson. Like, oh my God, Larry Johnson, he's just huge. And so it was a blowout. The Bulls were on fire that night, and they come in, and my dad's friend Jim says Jordan's going to sit in that seat. Like, there's no way. Will Perdue's sitting there. He goes, trust me, they all move over so Jordan can sit there. And so as he's coming out, he comes in to take a breather. I put my hand out. They all move out. I put my hand out. He gives me 5 and has a seat right there. And so I'm literally rubbing elbows with Michael Jordan. And if you ask me what I said nothing. I said 0 words. I had nothing to say. Like, I was starstruck. I'd never felt like that before or since. And it was a really cool memory.
Jeez, man. This is probably before this happened, but cue the Space Jam theme song. That is awesome. Because I grew up watching that movie, and that was I knew who he was before that movie came out, but I wasn't really a sports fan. But when the movie came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's in a movie now? Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
You know? So, oh my gosh, dude. Michael freaking Jordan. Oh,
I know. It was really fun. It was fun. I even had a chance to kind of listen in on a huddle with Phil Jackson and Scotty and the rest of them. And I was taking like pictures. This is back obviously before cell phones, so you had to actually develop pictures. And I was just kind of like sneaking pictures this way, kind of like, so I've got somewhere around all my pile of stuff, it's tucked in a bin somewhere, are pictures of me sitting next to the Bulls and just random shots of their faces.
good Lord, man.
It was fun. It was a good time.
Man, hearing that intro for the Bulls,
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah.
And then they got, the announcer just losing his mind and everyone's running and you just, I mean, as someone who's never been to Chicago with them Bears, I've never been with the Bears or the Cubs or those Bulls, But in Chicago, they got deep dish pizza. I've never had that either, really. But when it comes to Chicago, like when I think it's, when I'm thinking of the Bulls, like I just click on that intro because someone posted, like they ripped it from one of the VHS tapes and they put the intro of the Bulls, and like the Bulls coming out. You have the music playing. You got the what do you call it? Like the neon lights going off and everything else is going insane. And the people are just. The roar of the crowd is just so like you could hear it like miles away. You could hear it, and I'm watching this video and I'm thinking, boy, I wish I could have been just for one night. I would have wished I wish I would have been at the United Center at that time when the Bulls were riding high, and you had Michael, you had Pippen, you had Rodman, you had all these other players coming in and out of the locker rooms, and you had Phil Jackson calling the shots. It's like, yeah, I would have liked to have been in Chicago with them, with them Bulls, that weekend,
I will say, first off, it's a horrible Chicago accent.
Sorry.
And secondly,
don't mean to offend any Chicagoans out there.
It's not offensive. It's just not good. But
that's what happens when you watch bad reruns of SNL. I'm so sorry.
But I will say that that intro when you're initially when you were at the Chicago Stadium, which was louder, it was smaller and more compact, so it was louder than United Center. When they would do the introduction, and you would be Scotty and Horace and all the rest of them. The last one would be, and now, or no, it would be from North Carolina, and then you could not hear the crowd would drown out the announcer, and it was phenomenal. So as loud as you think it was louder than that.
Wow,
and it was so much fun. It's a great memory to have.
It's one of those experiences,
for sure.
You got to feel it. You just got to feel it. And for you sharing that story about you rubbing elbows with Michael Jordan, I mean.
Yes! That's awesome!
I mean, you can't.
Nice drop. I like that. That's a great drop.
Thank you. Yeah, you can't get much bigger than that. I mean, Michael freaking Jordan, the greatest, arguably greatest basketball player of all time. Among there are many other great players. I'm not saying there aren't, but MJ's like, kind of right on.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
He's probably on top of the mountain. I don't know. Some people disagree. Some people agree. Some people don't. Some people have a different Mount Rushmore than some other fans do, and that's fine. Listen, if you love basketball, more power to you. It's a great sport. It's a team sport. Teaches you teamwork, discipline, et cetera, et cetera. I played basketball for about a hot minute when I was a kid, so I did things. So I mean, I played baseball and basketball, if you want to know the truth, but
Nice.
those were when I was, yay, hi.
Nothing wrong with
Things,
that.
yeah, things are a lot different when you're playing little league and youth basketball than it is when you're playing high school sports.
That's
So
true. That's true.
yeah, it's tremendously different. Although I did have a fun time playing NBA 2K whatever on the PlayStation. Anybody remember NBA 2K2 or
Heck
NBA
yeah.
2K5?
Yep.
Like, yeah, I played that. Did you play those games at all? Did you ever play some
I I
sports
played them
games?
when they were called NBA Live, like it was
Oh
called
yeah.
NBA Live 95,
Mhm.
96. I don't remember when I guess when it hit 2000, everyone just kind of went into the 2K. But yeah, I was NBA Live and NHL Live. I used to love those games.
Did you play NBA Jam?
I did with the You're on Fire, those games.
Boom
Yes.
shakalaka.
Yes. Of
Remember
course.
that?
I played them old school at the actual arcade where we used to have to put our quarters up. Okay, so
Ooh, okay. Yeah. I didn't really play too much of it in the arcades. I was more used to playing it on my Sega Genesis.
Right. No, I come from I miss the old days of the arcade where just a bunch of, riffraff getting together at Aladdin's Castle, and we would have to put our quarters up for all the games we wanted to play. So, and somehow all these kids just knew that that's my quarter. I got next. And there'd be 5 quarters up there. It was so much fun.
Well, I bet things were a lot easier when we were going to places like Flynn's Arcade. We could play all the favorite video games of the world, including Tron. So,
Yep, that's right.
anybody remember Flynn's Arcade? Yeah. I saw Tron Legacy in the theater. That was a great IMAX. That was my favorite IMAX 3D experience I've ever had.
Nice.
Tron Legacy is I get it. The script's not the strongest, but the film overall is still it's a fun movie. And you're in this digital world. Who doesn't want to be in that? I mean, the
Exactly.
graphics are great.
Exactly.
The visual effects were great. Daft Punk was doing the soundtrack back in 2010, if you remember. So,
Hmm.
and you do have a scene in the arcade where he's, going through his dad's stuff and he's looking through the games and stuff. And I'm thinking, man, the 80s were hopping. Wish I was there for that with all the video game craze. I wish I was there for the birth of that stuff. I was there, I'm a millennial, so I'm later on, but man, if
Yeah.
I could go back to the 80s arcade and see all those games that were coming out at the time and how kids were just flocking to their local arcade establishments, if you will, which by the way, if you ever
Hmm.
do get a chance, please support small businesses. Please do. But I will say this, video games are fun, but pinball machines are
Yes.
those will take you down a wild ride for sure. Do you have a favorite pinball machine that you like to play when you were younger, or something you would play
Um,
now?
no, I mean, I like all kinds of pinball machines. I mean, there was the classic Rocky pinball machine. There was an Aliens one.
Oh,
I
jeez.
mean, it was a lot of there. And to be honest, I was just even as a teenager, just attracted to the visuals. I mean, the artwork on those pinball machines is amazing, and they're literal works of art. And so I love pinball. I mean, I was never that good at it. It was kind of random to me, but it was a lot of fun and looking at the artwork on there. And every now and then you go to a show, you go to a convention, and somebody will bring out those retro games, and they'll be set up, and I'll just go hang out and before a show starts and play a couple rounds. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. If you who may be watching or listening to this, and once again, we are here with Tony Santiago, indie artist on And I Quote. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you have any questions for Tony, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. If you are joining this live or on the replay, thank you so much for being here. I do greatly appreciate it. We're just diving back into the glory days of early video games and pinball machines, which, by the way, I would say yes. The artwork. So my hats are off to the artists, the game
Hmm.
designers who build those things, because I mean those things are such an elaborate kind of shape. You're thinking to yourself, this takes a lot of patience and a lot of work. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
my hats off to the people who design those pinball machines, because there are some arcades in and around where I am here in North Carolina, respectively. And when you go to certain conventions, they do have what is known as retro arcades available for you and your family
Hmm.
and play free. I think a lot of the games are free. Maybe sometimes you got to pop in a quarter or what is known as tokens, whatever it may be. But yeah, if there's a retro arcade that's at a Comic-Con or a show that you're at, please visit it. It's a lot of fun. And there's some really
It
good video,
is.
including pinball machines, which may feature characters like Star Wars, Godzilla. Yeah, Godzilla.
Hmm.
Yeah, he has a lot of pinball machines because he's. You Trek. You got what was the other one you mentioned? You mentioned Aliens. You got
I
Aliens.
mentioned Rocky. Rocky was a classic. Rocky 3.
Rocky. See, here's the thing. I like Rocky 1, 2, and 3, and then 4 and 5 were too cheesy, and they jumped off the bandwagon for me. Those were cheesy; they just didn't work. But Rocky 6, also known as Rocky Balboa,
Yes.
that film is incredible.
It is.
I'm being serious. Like the first 3 Rockies are great. Like if it's just a trilogy, that's great. But then when you have the prologue with Rocky Balboa being Rocky 6, that is a better film than 4 and 5 combined.
I'm not gonna. I agree with you for sure regarding Rocky 5. That's the one we don't talk about. Rocky 4, I also agree was very cheesy, but it still holds a place in my heart, only because when that movie came out, and I saw all these movies in the theaters, and so Rocky 1 took place when, in 1978 or 79
That
or
was
whatever it was?
76.
76. So by the time Rocky 4 came out, and this was before streaming and all this stuff. So when a movie was at the theater and it was gone, it was just gone. You didn't see these movies anymore. When Rocky 4 came out, there's a montage when he gets in, when after Adrian says you can't win, and then Rocky gets into his car. It's the movie's one long music video, but when he gets in and he shows this montage where he's in his car and There's No Easy Way Out starts to play, it's a montage of all the previous 3 movies. So I hadn't seen what Sylvester Stallone and Talia Shire, those characters look like. I hadn't seen them since then, since Rocky 1. It's like, oh my gosh, look how different they are. So it was like this whole memory lane thing. So that's why Rocky 4 kind of still has a sentimental value to me. So I'm not going to throw it under the bus too much. Rocky 5, yes. Rocky Balboa, incredible, like you said. One of the greatest motivational speeches that a parent can give to a son ever.
Oh,
It still rings true.
up.
It rings true today. I've actually given it to my son.
Have you?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Life hits harder than anything. Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed. Yeah. If you haven't seen these films, feel free to look them up. They're on streaming services out there. They're on physical media, right? They're on DVD. They're on Blu-ray. I have the 6-film Blu-ray set. I have the first 3 films on a special DVD set, trilogy.
Yeah.
If you will. Like I have the first 3, and then I bought Rocky Balboa separately on DVD. So I have them on multiple formats in case I want to go back and, watch them or experience them again. Cause they're good films. They're good films, and
they're great. And I haven't yet. It is cool. Carl Weathers has kind of gotten a second coming because of Mandalorian, I guess.
Grief Karga, yeah.
So I haven't had a chance to meet him, but I would like to, just for the Apollo Creed.
Oh yeah.
That's how I remember Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed. So
you gotta find that eye of the tiger. You gotta find it, Rock. You gotta find that eye of the tiger. You gotta find it. You gotta bring it back. Like it's good stuff. And yeah, and it's funny because I don't know if you're going to be at this show or not to do a quick plug here, but quick sidebar. GalaxyCon Richmond, they got like a flock of Star Wars people that are going to be at GalaxyCon Richmond, and Carl Weathers just happens to be one of them.
Okay.
So if you're going to be at that show tabling, he's going to be there front row center, dude.
I'm not scheduled for that one. I'm definitely going to be at the one for North Carolina. So
you'll be at GalaxyCon Raleigh.
Well, then hopefully he's there and I can meet him there maybe.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not saying they've booked him, but I'm just saying that is that the show you are going to be present at, is GalaxyCon in Raleigh?
Yes. And
Fantastic.
usually the GalaxyCon shows, a lot of these shows, if they have one at one, good chances are they'll have them at the next one.
Yeah, they piggyback off each other a little bit.
For sure. For sure.
If they have not Grief. I keep saying Grief Karga because that's his character on Mandalorian. I love Mandalorian so hard. I'm wearing a Rebel shirt for Pete's sake. Okay, I'm wearing a Star Wars. And by the way, this is a new piece of thread here. This is some new swag that I got over the holiday season.
Nice.
Treat
Very
yourself.
Cool.
Yeah, this is a really cool looking shirt. They have a Rebel and a Sith shirt, so I went with the Rebel shirt because I'm more of a Jedi than a Sith Lord. But
I like that. Okay.
It's all good. It's cool. You can find it. It's online. Our Universe or Box Lunch, which is a store you can find at your local mall. Box Lunch. Have you ever heard of that? It's a nerdy shop that has tons of swag. So feel free to pay them a visit. Tell them And I Quote Channel sent you, even though they have no idea who I am. But And I'm not saying it comes with a discount, but what was I saying? Yeah, if they have certain people at one show, they will have them at another. They tend to piggyback off each other that way, which is great because I can't go to GalaxyCon Richmond like I did last year because my experience at GalaxyCon Richmond, no offense to the people who run it, it wasn't the best. So, which is why I prefer GalaxyCon Raleigh. Plus, Raleigh's a lot closer to me than freaking Richmond, okay? So, GalaxyCon Raleigh is a lit show. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, please do so you can visit this fine gentleman over here on our show, which is, and I quote, with Tony Santiago, indie artist extraordinaire. I would say, please go to GalaxyCon Raleigh. They got a great show, great vendors, great people, really good name stars, big names, I should say, big fish in a big pond.
Yeah.
And please bring the Star Wars people from Richmond down to Raleigh because I can't meet them in Richmond and it pains me. So please bring them all. Bring Bo-Katan. Bring Grief Karga. Please bring the armor. Bring me the armor, Emily Swallow, and I will love you, GalaxyCon Raleigh, for life. You see what I'm saying? You're familiar with the armor, right? Do you like the armor character? You like her?
I'm embarrassed to say I'm not caught up with all the Star Wars, all the different shows and everything that's come out. Listen, I'm an old school original trilogy guy, and then after that, there's so many other things that I just kind of got into, and I mean I'll keep up. I watched the first season of Mandalorian. Okay. I will say I couldn't stick with Boba Fett. It just wasn't my jam. But by the time some of this stuff comes out, like, okay, so a season comes out and then you wait a year and a half, almost, sometimes as many as 2 years for the next season. By that time, I'm on to something else and I just don't get back into it. So it's all in the queue. I just have to keep up.
It's okay. You got time. And GalaxyCon Raleigh is many, many months away, so you have plenty of time to sit down and binge watch a few things Mandalorian. Because Book of Boba Fett was kind of dry. Some stuff in that show didn't necessarily work for me as a fan, but they try. Some shows work, some shows don't. But The Mandalorian, for me anyway, I think The Mandalorian's great. All 3 seasons are good in their own way, respectively, of course. So if you ever get a chance to watch it, please go ahead and do so. Each season's 8 episodes, and each episode's 35 minutes long. So you're gonna
so it's not a big time suck. Yeah, I can manage that.
Yeah, you can click pretty quickly through it, or binge watch, I should say, is the term. Respectively well. And the armor is one of the main characters, the Mandalorian, and she's great. And I love her to pieces. So Emily Swallow, who voices the armor, if you show up at GalaxyCon Raleigh, I'm probably going to lose my ever-loving mind. And yes, I do have a Mandalorian shirt that has all the characters on it as a silhouette version of it. So the armor is on one of my shirts. So yeah, I'll wear it for our photo op, Emily. It's cool. Don't worry. When I go to a comic, and by the way, this is a free piece of advice for anyone who's interested in going to a convention. When you go to a convention, please visit Artists Alley first. Visit the creators and the artists and the people who are there to promote their work and to geek out with you, because that's what they love doing most, is talking with other people. So please visit Artist Alley. That's the first thing you should do. The second thing you need to do is when you visit the celebrities, depending on who you want to meet, because everyone has different tastes. So let me just point that out there. But when you visit the celebrities, make sure you wear the appropriate attire for your pro photo op or your selfie, because when you wear the right shirt, the photo is going to come out really good. When you're wearing a Superman shirt with someone who played April O'Neil on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's kind of wrong. But I didn't have a TMNT shirt at the time when I met Judith Hogue. So that was my problem, Tony. That was my problem. But the good news is Judith Hogue is going to be visiting us at GalaxyCon Raleigh this summer. So I'll get a chance to see her again. And this time when I see her, I'm going to have a TMNT 1990 live action movie shirt with April O'Neil on it, as well as the other characters that are featured within the film, which includes the Turtles and Casey Jones. So I'll be prepared this time, Judith. I'll be prepared. I promise you. I have my shirt. It's in the wardrobe. It's cool. It's ready to go. And I have an action figure for you to sign, which is brought to you by our good friends at NECA. # not a sponsor. So I'm sorry, Tony. I don't mean to go on a weird rant about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's all right.
That's one of my favorite properties. So, but anyway, once again, thank you to our friends at Poddex for those incredible questions for our guest, Tony Santiago. We want to take this opportunity to say we're grateful to have Tony Santiago here on this episode of Antiquote. Tony, thank you so much for being here. It's been a great time getting to know you a little bit and asking you some really tough, out there kind of questions. And apparently we have a respect for pinball machines that I didn't know we had. So
for sure.
There you go. It's awesome sauce. So, Tony, if someone is watching this and they want to know more about you or perhaps purchase one or maybe 50 prints of your artwork, where can they follow you on social media?
My main social media is Instagram, so it's just at Tony Santiago Art. And my website is TonySantiagoArt.com.
Fantastic. Well, we thank you very much for being here, good sir. It was great to see you. We look forward to you're always welcome to come back on And I Quote again in the future, should you choose to accept that mission.
Anytime.
Good times, man. Good times. And I like your background, by the way. I like all those prints and pieces of incredible artwork in the background. Those should be hung up in the Sistine Chapel, or somewhere very extravagant, because your artwork is some of the best in the world. So,
thank you.
Yeah, congratulations to you and everything that you're doing. We wish you nothing but success with everything moving forward. My name just happens to be Ryan of And I Quote channel. If you want to know more about me or follow me personally on social media, you can follow me on what is known as Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. Make sure you check us out on all forms of social media. And I Quote channel is where you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. It's all located in the description below. Also, you can find more information about Tony Santiago and his artwork located in the description of this episode of And I Quote. So make sure you check all that information out. Lots of great stuff coming your way very soon. We are this close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. We're so close. We can taste it. And once we hit that magic number, we're going to throw a great big live stream celebration. It's going to include returning favorites such as Tony Santiago is more than welcome to come back and show us more of his incredible artwork, should he choose to do so. And we're going to have some surprise guests and special giveaways that you, an incredible subscriber / viewers, could end up winning and hanging up in your home. These are 11x17 prints brought to you by our good friend, The Art of John Pinto, on Facebook. Look at this. Doctor Who and all your favorite doctors on this 11x17 print that we would be sending to you to hang up in your home, your office space, wherever it may be. If you're a fan of the Dark Lord of the Sith, known as Darth Vader from the franchise known as Star Wars, we have something like this to offer you. We also have, if you're a fan of Star Trek, that's right, Star Trek. You can like both, ladies and gentlemen. This is from Star Trek Strange New Worlds, in case anyone's wondering who these characters are. You'll be eligible to win this print and so much more. We have a lot of great things to offer you, our incredible viewers / subscribers. Also, if you're looking for merch, we got shirts, we got hoodies, we got stickers, we got coffee mugs. We got all kinds of great things. The link is in our bio on social media, so make sure you check that out. Also, if you want to support the show, you can buy us a coffee, or in our case, buy us a pizza, because we're like Ninja Turtles. So feel free to check out the links. They're located in the description, also located in our bio. Also, I want to make you guys aware that the Nerdy Cantina is going to be going live on Saturdays for the next little while at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Sorry, I know the time and day is different on the flyer here, but we've moved to Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, so we have an episode tonight. Check us out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, we're going on tour to go to Comic Cons. As we were talking about Tony earlier, we will be at GalaxyCon Raleigh later on this summer. But in the meantime, February 16th through the 18th is going to be our first stop on the tour. We're going to a place called Mad Monster Party in Concord, North Carolina, where the cast of some of your favorite movies, including The Lost Boys and the hit TV series Smallville, are going to be there. The actors and actresses are going to be present. It's going to be a lot of fun. RecCon is in the month of March, and then Eastgate Comic-Con is also going to be in the month of March. All the information is located on our social media. More dates are going to be announced, so there you go. Comic-Cons are fun, Tony, and guess what? We're going on tour like we did last year. It's going to be a barrel of laughs and tons of fun. We look forward to seeing you at these shows. Once again, thank you for being here. We appreciate all of your support. We appreciate Tony Santiago for being our guest on this episode, I should say, of And I Quote. So don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Ring that bell to be notified of when our new videos go up or they go live. And remember, life is better when embracing the nerd within you. Take a look.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Good morning! Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.